Okay, the next item on our interoperability agreements is something referred to as an MOU, or a Memorandum of Understanding. Now, what this is basically a letter of intent. It's not a formalized contract. A lot of times it's often not even written down. It might be a verbal agreement or something referred to sometimes as a handshake agreement or a gentleman's agreement. So these things are typically just to kind of get an idea that a customer or a third party or a business partner of some sort is intent upon formalizing some type of relationship with you, but it's not a written contract. It can often be used to entice other clients or to get credit or financing if you have a letter of intent from a specific supplier or a specific customer base. Sometimes other financing entities and so forth will give you additional financing based upon that letter. So again, it's an agreement that's not a formal contract. Okay, that's the kind of the takeaway from that specific term that I'd like you to be familiar with. Okay, the next type of interoperability agreement is something referred to as an ISA, and that is an interconnection security agreement. Now, this is primarily used by the federal government for engagement with third parties, but it doesn't necessarily have to be or solely used by the federal government. A lot of companies will take this same type of an agreement and use it as guidelines for when setting up their own type of ISA agreement with their own third party, either business partners or prospects or entities that they do business with. So what it basically does, it ensures proper security controls are put in place ahead of time, and it governs the stance, or defines, I should say, the security stance and the governance and the controls that will be put in place around communication paths between two networks. So again, as we spoke about before, we have these two different entities. We have our own company and some other company that we're going to do business with. Typically, we're going to set up some type of connectivity, either to a cloud provider, a third-party co-located data center, or we're going to directly interact with each other's data centers. We need to make sure that that communication is secure. All right, what we don't want is to have on either side some type of discrepancy where one side says, well, we need encryption, and the other side says, well, what's for? Okay, that's not good to have after the fact. All of these things need to be set up beforehand so that any guesswork is taken out of the equation before the engagement actually begins.